it was quite a long process actually getting that in place, because you know, there's a case that lots of individuals were coming to us saying, can you do something? And we had to bring all that together and then build a network out. We had to, you know, put equipment on our mast and then go out and work with lots of individual property owners to actually host that equipment to be able to bounce the signal along the valley. And you've got a picture of you know, one of the practical issues with this sort of thing is you've got a house there on the right, and we had to negotiate with them to say, would you mind hosting, you know, several large dishes on the outside of it? But as you know, there were farmers, they really needed broadband, and they didn't mind having that, you know, having all that equipment there. Other people that we approached were very sensitive to that sort of installation, so we had to move it around. Then in 2008 we got a chance to put some of the ideas that we'd seen in Sweden into action in Alston. One of the big issues we'd had here was the hospital had been threatened with closure when the PCT tried to basically cut out all the community hospitals a couple of years earlier. And there were huge demonstrations, people took to the streets, marched on the PCT headquarters in Penrith. And we thought, well, how can we actually use some of this telehealth information that we've picked up to actually put Alston Hospital at the front of the queue, so they're the most advanced in Cumbria, rather than being at the back and more likely to be closed. At that time, there was a government initiative trying to get social enterprises to deliver more services to the NHS. So we applied to be part of that, and that was successful, which gave us a cushion, if you like, to be able to go in and hold discussions with the hospital and the PCT and work out exactly how, you know, a project like this could work. Because I think from a lot of people's point of view, the NHS does seem quite impenetrable when you first look at it. You know, how do you actually understand how you can change services and look at the way they're delivered? But again, I suppose what brings us back to what kept us going through that process was the links to the local community, and the fact that working with the League of Friends, we knew that despite the fact that some of the doctors we met thought it was a rubbish idea, the people in Alston actually really wanted this. You know, they wanted a video link that would save them having to travel to Penrith in the middle of the night. They wanted the monitoring systems which would enable them to be monitored from home rather than travelling to Carlisle Hospital. 2009, we spent a lot of time getting the new website launched, and the first one that we did right back at the beginning, it just started to look a bit dated. And I suppose there's a lesson there in terms of things like websites. They don't just, it's not just like a job done, you put it together and then leave it. It does take a lot of work and a lot of looking after. So we put new services on there. We had the old supplier that we'd used had moved on, so we had to find a new supplier who's based in Cumbria and move everything across to there, which is quite a challenge when you've got a huge library of content that people from the community have contributed over the years. And then, as you know, a lot of you probably have heard, you know, by 2010 we'd started to actually upgrade the network around Alston Moor, because the wireless that had been put in originally was really creaking, problems with interference. Rather than just upgrade that, we also said, well, let's see what we can actually do by putting some fibre optic cable in, based on the idea that we had, you know, armies of contractors who live on Alston Moor but then often travel out to work for other people during the week. You know, what could happen if we actually brought them into the team and worked with them to actually start to lay some of this fibre optic ducting, and then see how we could actually really reduce the cost of that, with a view to actually going out and connecting more of Alston. So now we're in 2011. The structure of Cybermoor, there's a diagram of it there, but just briefly to go through it, I'll make it very simple for you. Cybermoor Limited sells internet access to members of the community. Cybermoor Services Limited is the part of Cybermoor which does a lot of the consultancy and gets involved with projects. And Cybermoor Networks Limited is this exciting new co-op that we've just launched, which is going to focus on owning the network infrastructure, so the fibre optic cable, the wireless equipment, and then down below we've got a management team and contractors that work across the different companies. So it's we found that way of structuring everything really works, and I think with Cybermoor Networks it's a way of actually sort of splitting off the service side of the business from the infrastructure side. I suppose it's a bit like the way BT operate, having BT Openreach, which owns all the equipment, and then things like BT Retail, which sells the internet connections to people. Paul mentioned briefly about social objectives and what they have. That's what separates social enterprises from pure businesses. There's a lot of commercial ISPs out there, but not many of them have these sort of social objectives that they state quite explicitly. So key things we're interested in, I mean they're on the slide there, but I suppose the way it works is because we're a co-op, we've got a democratic structure. People can come along to the AGM, they can raise issues. If they want to, they can join the board of directors if they feel strongly about something. And that's what, in a sense, I suppose, has made us different to a lot of the more commercial ISPs, which have just been focused very much on driving profit. That's been a very brief history of Cybermoor. We're going to obviously hear a lot more about some of those bits that we've touched on during the day, and then there'll be the wrap-up section. At the end of the day, we've not picked up anything, but I'm happy to just take a couple of questions now if anyone has them. If it's something that will be picked up later, then we'll just move it later on. But has anyone got any questions now they'd like to ask?
Yeah, yes, please. I'm interested in your pricing. So it ranges from £8 to £30.
Yeah.
What sort of services do people get within that range?
Yeah, the £8 a month deal is I think that's 512 now, 512k, and then that goes up to 2 meg for £30, which is that has an element of redundancy in it. I think with all these, as we start to roll out the fibre network, we're looking at what new services we can put on top of that as well. And we're in the middle of a network upgrade at the moment, so it's always a bit of a movable feast. We want to try and make the most of the feed that we bring in, but at the same time we have to balance that so that everyone gets the best service they can.
So you reinvest to improve the service periodically?
Yeah. Okay. Any more questions? Yeah.
Did you say about take-up? How many households in the area have taken up your service?
Yeah, we've got about 350 households connected, and there's about 1,000 in total, so we've got about a third. We hope that as we get through this network upgrade process, though, we'll really be able to push that further and get more people signed up.
Households you mentioned there, are they some on wireless, some on fibre at the moment?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's mainly wireless at the moment, but we'll talk about that a bit later.
So how many fibre connections do you actually have?
We've still just got a handful of them at the moment. We're going to talk about some of the challenges that we've had putting the fibre in as we go through. But we'll cover that a bit later.